Hi everybody, my name is Katie Brown and I just wanted to take a moment to share my story about using essential oils to support my battle with infertility. And just a little bit of background, kind of before oils. My husband and I tried for our first child for over 3 years. We ended up having 3 miscarriages in that time, and I was diagnosed with something, so we were able to come up with a treatment that helped me stay pregnant, but I was still having a lot of trouble getting pregnant, and so they said I had PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. Basically means irregular periods. I would go months without having a cycle, and of course that's very frustrating when you're trying to get pregnant. And so they let me try Clomid, which is a fertility drug, and we did that a couple times and we had success, and we had a successful pregnancy with my treatment, and we had this beautiful baby boy, and he is such a cutie and a blessing and a handful, but we love him. And so when he was about 18 months old, we kind of fast forward some time there, we decided it was time to try for another baby. And my doctor said, great, but Katie, this time I don't want you to use any fertility drugs. In her opinion, with my medical condition, and of course I suffer from gestational diabetes with borderline high blood pressure, she didn't want to add a complication of twins into the mix with the fertility drugs. So we said okay, and she went ahead and started me on metformin, which is a medicine used to help regulate hormones with those with PCOS sometimes. And we did that. And good news, with the metformin, I was having regular cycles, which I wasn't before. And almost like clockwork. And I was taking the at-home ovulation tests, and those were saying I was ovulating. It was really fun to pee on those tests every morning. Some of you may know that. It's not really. But we weren't getting pregnant, and months went by, and cycling regularly and ovulating, but not getting pregnant. Even though we were doing everything supposedly right and at the right times, it just wasn't happening for us. And it was really frustrating to go through that again, but this time from the perspective of we should be getting pregnant, but we weren't. It wasn't that I was waiting on a cycle. It was just wasn't coming together. And almost a year had gone by, and I had oils in my life now. I had been using Young Living essential oils for about 2 years at that time to support my health and my family and our lives. And so I talked to my friend Kim in my upline about what oils I could use to support my hormones and this infertility problem I was having. And she helped me do some research and read some other testimonies, and I came up with kind of a plan based on those things. And I used Progessence Plus and Clary Sage and Basil. I used those oils to support my hormones and my reproductive system. And what I did, I remember it was December, and I had just started my period, and of course depressed, not pregnant again. And I was just sort of like, okay, it's December, I'm done. I don't want to try this month. I just want to take a break. It was just too much. December was a busy month. It had Christmas. It was going to be too stressful. And my husband was like, whatever you want to do, I support it. It's your decision. And the last day of my period, the oils I ordered showed up. And so I really just took that as a sign. God, okay, I won't give up yet. My oils are here. I'll try them, and we'll just see what happens. And so what I read, they usually did it during their fertile window, but I went ahead and started on my last day of my period because life of a mother of a toddler is a little chaotic, and I needed some extra days to get that routine established. And so I used the clary sage on the arches of my feet and over my ovaries to support my reproductive system on your feet. Those are VitaFlex points for that area. And then I also used the basil on my interior ankles and over my ovaries. And that's another VitaFlex point for your kind of endocrine system and reproductive system. And the basil, I will say that if you have sensitive skin in that area, you might want to dilute because it can tingle a little bit. And then I use the Progestins Plus on the sides of my neck over my carotid arteries and on my forearms and wrists. And I did that every night. Sometimes I would do it in the morning, but I was not faithful about doing it in the morning, but I was faithful about doing it every night. And I did that starting on the last day of my period through my fertile window. And then honestly, I forgot about it because we were traveling and it was Christmas, and you know, I just did those during my fertile window and kind of forgot about it for a little while because we were busy with family and the holidays, and because of the medical condition I have about when I am pregnant, I have to watch that really close. So I have to take that pregnancy test really early, and I have had a lot of negative pregnancy tests in my day, and so the first of the year rolled around and I took my pregnancy test, and this time it was positive. Positive. It was positive. And I was just floored. I was blown away. I just couldn't believe that the oils worked for one. I mean, we only use them one time, one cycle. And I'm just not one of those people where it clicks the first time or I get it on the first try. You know, we've always had to really work and work and work and work at it. And it was almost like magic. It just worked, and I couldn't tell anybody. Of course, I told my husband right away, but you know, I'm barely pregnant, like barely 4 weeks pregnant, and I did take a picture of the positive pregnancy test and sent it to my friend Kim, and was like, Kim, I'm pregnant, and guess what? The oils worked. And for me, that was sort of a turning point from being an oil user to really wanting to share the oils and share my story, because I know there's a lot of women out there who suffer from infertility and infant pregnancy loss, and you know, I have been through those things, and I know what they're going through, and it's something that people don't talk about. It's very hard to talk about, and I understand, and I just kind of wanted my story to get out there as, you know, maybe give some hope to somebody that needs it. And so now I'm about 6 months pregnant with another bouncing baby boy, bouncing literally on my bladder all the time. And I wanted to just take another quick moment and share what it's like being pregnant and using the oils to support a healthy pregnancy. The first time around when I was pregnant, you know, I was pregnant in the winter again, and I got every cold and bug and whatever that came around. And I didn't even have kids in school or, you know, anything. I was just working in an office, and I got sick all the time. I felt like I had a sinus infection from, you know, December to spring, because it just wouldn't ever go away. I couldn't really ever fully kick it. And of course, when you're pregnant, you can't really take a lot of medicine. But this time around, I did kind of get bogged down there at the beginning in January. but using the oils to support the respiratory system and your sinuses and your nasals. I had a nasal spray, and I really haven't had to suffer through a really difficult cold since then. You know, I've had the stomach or the tummy flu, or maybe just morning sickness a couple times, and just have really felt healthy in that aspect, not having to be constantly blowing my nose or anything like that. So that has been really great. And then, of course, I still have gestational diabetes, but I will say that it has not been as bad this time around. This time in my pregnancy, I was taking 3 insulin shots a day, and it just seemed like every week they were having to increase that amount and increase that amount. That wasn't really staying under control. This time around, I've been using a lot of the Ninja Red to support just my high blood pressure and my circulatory system, but it's helping with my glucose levels. Recently I started putting some drops of Acatea in there because I'm getting farther along in pregnancy, and the more hormones you get, it kind of gets a little bit more out of whack. But right now I'm only having to take insulin at bedtime to kind of help with that overnight number. So my fasting number in the morning is not so high, but during the day it's controlled with what I eat, my diet, and of course I'm still on metformin during the day, and but that wasn't really effective for me last time when I was this pregnant. And the Ninja Red juice, which I'm doing 1 ounce 3 times a day. Try to do 3 times a day. I'm really faithful about at least twice, but I try for 3 times, and I put the Acatea in it each time. And so that has been really blessing to feel really healthy on that aspect, that I'm not feeling so out of control with my blood sugar and levels. And what I'm doing now is I am researching and learning about oils to support healthy breastfeeding, because I'll be in that boat in a couple months. And last time around when I was breastfeeding, I got a really bad case of mastitis, really bad, twice, and kind of suffered through that. We made it through, and we kept breastfeeding for 18 months, but I am really looking forward to having oils on my side to support that this time around in case we run into any issues. And of course having oils around to help with any kind of support baby issues, fussy babies, and babies who don't sleep. That's how I got into oils in the first place with my first son. And that's my story. I just wanted to say thanks for listening, and please feel free to share. I am not a doctor or a nurse. I'm not here to treat, diagnose, or anything like that. I'm just here to support and maybe offer an option to those who need it. And I would be happy to talk with anybody who's struggling in this area or wants somebody to help them do some research about oils to see what oils could support you, if that's something you need. And so thanks again for listening, and God bless.